Russia is the largest country on the planet. A vast territory of frozen tundra, mountain forests, mighty rivers, and rolling steppes. "150 million people live here, 10 million on a bend of the Moscow River. The city of Moscow has been here for nearly 1,000 years, but since the end of the Soviet era, it is seeing some of the most momentous changes in its history. Our old city is taking on new life.
Hello, I'm Marisha Voznesensky. I live in Moscow, the capital of Russia. People who visit Moscow usually come here, to our most famous place, Krasная Площадь or Red Square. It used to be the center of Soviet power. Every year, the Communist Revolution is celebrated here.
Красная площадь приветствует представителей трудовых коллективов и жителей.
Near Red Square, I met up with my favorite pop stars from Moscow's biggest band, Bravo. They took me for a ride in an old communist limousine to see how our new Moscow is changing.
Голос твой на небе шепчет нежные слова. Я в одном уверен, только ты всегда права. Если ты захочешь обо всем мне рассказать, ветер знает, где меня искать. Весенний день ворвался в это небо. Я вспомнил, где я не был, о чем мечтал, остановиться мне бы. Но я всю ночь летал.
There has been a settlement here since the Middle Ages, when a fortress was built on the north bank of the Moscow River, the Kremlin. The Kremlin became the heart of Moscow and the symbol of Soviet might. Now it's home to the president of the new Russian Federation. Surrounding the Kremlin are museums, government buildings, banks, and old-style shops. A little further away, the city looks more modern. Old industrial Moscow still stretches along the river. And beyond that, jutting out of the countryside, are high-rise suburbs, the pride of Soviet planners. The stamp of Soviet planning is there, too, in the system of wide ring roads and main arteries that lead in and out of the capital. Along the wide boulevards, the communist dictator Joseph Stalin constructed colossal skyscrapers. They were built to rival the skyscrapers of America and overshadow the churches that used to dominate the Moscow skyline. They form the Red Star over Moscow. In the new Moscow, even roads as wide as these are choked with traffic. Our traffic controllers now face the same problems as London or New York.
My name is Igor. I work in the 45th Department of State Auto Inspection in the Sokolnitsky district of Moscow. My work is pressured. Moscow is a big city. There are constant traffic jams, but we have to keep things running smooth.
The easiest way to get around Moscow is on the subway, and it's cheap.
For 1,000 rubles, less than 15 pence, I can buy a token to travel anywhere on the metro.
Eight million Moscovites use the metro every day. It was built in the 1930s to be the most beautiful and efficient subway in the world. A Soviet achievement that still works.
My name is Volodya Nikiforov. I'm a train driver on the Moscow Underground. A driver must have good technical knowledge. A lot of people use the underground, and we're responsible for them. Moscow is an important city. The Russian government sits here. A lot of intellectuals and the cream of society is gathered here.
Monuments are all over the city. The Cosmos Needle celebrates man's first flight into space. And nearby is the Park of Economic Achievement, where grand mausoleums were temples to industry, agriculture, and science. In the new Moscow, economic achievement has new meaning. At the money market in the park, dealers buy and sell currency. Even 5 years ago, this would have been unimaginable.
My name is Igor. I'm a future broker and the financial director of my own firm. I try to buy and maybe cheaper and try to sell maybe more expensive than I buy. Use dollars in our future exchange. Now it's, I think, a new stage in the development of our country.
For the first time, consumer culture has become the new religion. Only a short walk from the Kremlin, the M doesn't stand for Marx. This is the biggest and busiest McDonald's in the world.
My name is Gala. I work in McDonald's as a cashier, sometimes frying potatoes or cleaning the restaurant. I like to work here because there are many young people and students like me.
Student workers like Galia earn 70 pence an hour, not enough to buy a Big Mac, which costs around £1.50.
McDonald's is okay for the tourists and new businessmen, but my friends and I can only afford to eat here once or twice a year, unless someone else is buying.
While Western businesses may be moving into Moscow, the street market is where Muscovites do business. There's not much you can't buy on the street.
Even stopping to sign a few autographs, it didn't take rather long to find what they were looking for. A copy of their latest CD.
In the new Russia, a hit CD by a Moscow band is manufactured in Europe. In Soviet Russia, most things were made in Moscow, in the factories along the Moscow River.
Limousines like her ZIL were made here in Moscow at the mighty ZIL factory on Automobile Workers Boulevard.
At its peak, 200,000 trucks rolled off ZIL's assembly lines each year, along with a couple of limousines for Communist Party bosses. 60,000 people worked here. ZIL had its own football team and dancing troupe. Since privatizing in the 1990s, production lines have ground to a halt. Workers have been sent home until new parts, new orders, or money for wages can be found. Instead, those who are left, mainly low-paid immigrant workers, who can't find work in their own countries, are working to satisfy a new consumer demand for fridges. Most of the people who work in Moscow live in suburbs around the edge of the city. These micro-regions were built in the 1960s and 70s to create communities with transport, schools, cinemas, sometimes even small factories and shops. Under the old system, the food shops were almost empty. Even though Russia grew enough food, inefficient transportation meant it didn't always get delivered. Things are different now and food is more plentiful.
My name is Valentina. I work at the ZIL factory as an electrician, repairing motors for the machines.
Делаю электродвигатели, ремонт электродвигателей. Я сказала, что ты ужинаешь, выйдешь покушать. А этот район очень мне нравится, просто меня здесь все устраивает.
This suburb where we live suits our family. My son's school is close. There are shops nearby, and transport is convenient for work.
The suburbs hug the edge of the forests that surround Moscow. Losiny Ostrov Park is the largest. Flying towards Moscow from the northeast, the forest stretches for 50 kilometers, nearly into the center of the city. Now we are over the Kremlin, traveling south to where more microregions meet the forest, and towards the large factories along the river. Moscow is the hub of a rail network that connects its 9 stations to every far-flung part of the country. Long-distance trains from Moscow took millions of people eastwards during mass migrations in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Communities put down roots and settlement grew beyond the populated regions of European Russia. Now the citizens of Russia and the former Soviet republics can travel more freely, and people are pouring into Moscow, escaping the strife in their own part of the country. Every day, 150 long-distance trains arrive at the Kazan station, spilling thousands of people onto the platform. Many have nowhere to go and end up living in the station for days or even weeks. In spite of all the difficult changes in our country, Moscow remains the heart of the nation. Its new energy is certain to influence the rest of Russia.
О тебе узнал я во вчерашнем странном сне. Все, что я увидел, будет вечно жить во мне. Если ты захочешь обо всем мне рассказать, ветер знает, где меня искать. Весенний